Greetings, everyone. Pete Pardo here from Sea of Tranquility. Welcome to another edition of Ranking the Albums. Today, by popular demand, we're going to look at the very good studio catalog of one of America's greats. All right, New York's own Billy Joel, an artist that seems like I've been listening to him since I was old enough to accept sound waves into these ears, right? Because, of course, my folks were big into Billy in like the mid 70s, late 70s, right? So Billy Joel was always playing around the house along with the Beatles and Barry Manilow and Engelbert Humperdinck and, Tom Jones and all those cast of characters, right? A little bit of Elton John, a little bit of this, a little bit of that. So, all the singer-songwriters, all the vocalist, single artist, what have you, big in the Pardo household when I was growing up. Of course, then I started listening to Kiss around the mid-late 70s and kind of shunned all this stuff away. But as I started to grow older, I realized that Mr. Joel, damn good at what he did and does. All right. So, and the funny thing is, as I started to get more into hard rock and metal, right, I was like, I got no use in my life for this stuff. In my mid-late 20s, I was like, yeah, you know what? I kind of miss having like some Billy Joel around. Because, of course, my parents had all the LPs and I had nothing. So I went out and got that 2-disc greatest hits that Billy Joel had that, probably everybody owned at some point in time. The black and white cover on the front with him, with the piano. But then, maybe 10 years ago or so, I was like, you know what? That's a good collection, but there's a lot of other great tunes that are not on that collection that I probably need to have. And, of course, within a short order, I just went out and bought all of the Billy Joel albums on CD. And I'm so glad I did that because, man, all these albums are just really good. Of course, the early stuff is just exceptional. But what I think the hardest for me was to rank the more later catalog, like the 80s and 90s stuff, because that's all really good, too. And I like all these albums, so it kind of pains me to put anything on the bottom, but, you kind of have to, right? Something's got to be on the bottom, something's got to be on the top. So I did the best I could, but like I said, I like all these albums. So, if some of these might be your favorites, that's really cool because they're all great, right? We're all going to rank them a little bit differently based on when Billy kind of entered our lives, right? So I know a lot of the 80s stuff for folks who are a little bit younger than me is probably going to mean a lot more than some of the 70s stuff, just the way it goes, right? So I'm going to start off at the bottom. Again, an album I like quite a bit, and this is from 1993. I'm going to go with River of Dreams. My wife is going to kill me because she absolutely loves this album, so I'll have to make sure she's not watching this episode. She plays the River of Dreams all the time. She absolutely loves the title track. Some great stuff on here, Shades of Grey, No Man's Land, The Great Wall of China. Just a good, kind of early 90s feel-good Billy Joel album, right? You put it on, your toes get tapping, a lot of groove on here. He's still singing great. I mean, I dig this album. Sucks that it's kind of at the bottom, but I had to put I like the others a little bit better, right? So next up, we're gonna go with The Bridge. The Bridge came out. Let me get 1986. Another good album. All right. This is the time. We had a lot of hits on a lot of these albums, right? A Matter of Trust. Good stuff. Modern Woman, Running on Ice. All right. Big Man on Mulberry Street. Love all the New York City references, especially the Lower East Side. I spent so much time in my childhood, and up until about maybe 20 years ago on the Lower East Side of Manhattan, New York City, because, of course, that's where my parents grew up. That's where my grandparents are from, a lot of my aunts and uncles and cousins. So we were down there quite a bit, right? Down there quite a bit. So, a lot of good memories, a lot of good songs here. All right, so next up, we're going to go with Stormfront. Stormfront from 1989. Yeah, I dig this album. We Didn't Start the Fire. Good rockin' tune, man. I like some of his real kind of rockers from the 80s and the early 90s. What else, man? I go to Extremes. Another great song, big hit. Shameless is a good song. Leningrad. Very cool stuff. Title track is great. State of Grace. A lot of really strong songs on there. All right, next up, I'm going to go all the way back to the beginning. I was never as enamored with this album as some other people are. 1971's Cold Spring Harbor. I like it, okay? But of his early stuff, I just think that this is kind of not fully realized Billy Joel yet. And I also think it's weird that his vocals are like really high pitched on here, which there's lots of stories about how during the recording of this, something with tape speeds and all that kind of stuff. But again, it's got She's Got Away, classic Billy Joel song, right? Everybody Loves You Now, another great song. Why Judy Why, Turn Around, You Look So Good to Me. There's good songs on here. Pretty mellow album, right? But I think the seeds of what was to come very shortly thereafter certainly planted here, right? Good album. Liked a lot of the other early albums much better. How about the Nylon Curtain next? All right, as my dog Nuka starts barking at the mailman or whoever. Nylon Curtain from 1982. This is a very good album. Again, when this album came out, wasn't really much into it. And hold on, because Tal is in here with me, and she hears that there's someone downstairs, and she's going to want to go. And if I don't let her out, she's going to drive me crazy. So we don't want that now, do we? Where was I? Nylon Curtain, 1982. Yeah. Allentown. Because we're living here in Allentown. Pressure. I love Pressure. Pressure. Good Night Saigon. Classic song. All right. She's Right on Time. Scandinavian Skies. Man, Laura. A lot of great songs on here. Great songs there. My wife is home. That's what it is. Back from her walk. Next up, we're going to go with An Innocent Man. This is another one of those albums that I think in the mid 80s or early mid 80s, 1983. I was big into metal, and I had absolutely no use for Billy Joel at the time. But man, looking back on it all these years later, I loved this album. Innocent Man is really good. Easy Money, killer song. The title track, killer song. The Longest Time. Oh, on the longest time. This Night. Tell her about it. Come on, Uptown Girl. Christy Lee. We know who that's all about, right? Man, so many good songs on here. Just a really good pop rock album. Really, really good. There's a reason why it sold so many copies, right? Young me had no time for it then, but I got a lot of time for it now. All right, next up, Glass Houses, another album that back in the day, 1980, I was like, not much interested in this. But man, this is a good Billy Joel rock album. Really, really good. You May Be Right. I may be crazy. Sometimes a Fantasy. Killer. Don't Ask Me Why. Killer. Still Rock and Roll to Me. Killer. All for Lena. I absolutely adore All for Lena. Adore it. Adore it. I Don't Want to Be Alone. Man, so many good songs. Through the Long Night, man, top to bottom, so many great songs. Those two albums I like a lot. Glass Houses and Nylon Curtain, man, so good. If it wasn't for the 70s stuff, those would be high all the way up the top. Next up, we're going to go with Piano Man. Piano Man, of course, released in 1973. You got of course, the classic title track, probably his best known song of all time. You've got one of my personal favorites, Captain Jack, which is a great, weird song, but really, really great. You've got Ain't No Crime, Travel and Prayer, The Ballad of Billy the Kid, killer song. Worst Comes to Worst, Stop in Nevada. If Only I Had the Words to Tell You. I mean, so many great songs on that one too. But again, that was not quite Billy at like 100% of what we would expect from him. Getting close. Getting real close. Next up, I'm going to go with Turnstiles. A great album, 1976. Another one of his top shelf albums. Say Goodbye to Hollywood. Great song. Huge song. Summer, Highland Falls. What else? New York State of Mind, another one of his more best-known songs, and I think for all of us New Yorkers, always a song that brings everybody together. Whenever, like, New York, people of New York want to somehow get closer or be united, that's the song they go to. It's a reason why so many people from, like, the New York, New Jersey area love this guy so much. It's songs like that, so many memories of the 70s and the 60s and, downtown in New York City, man. This doesn't get much better than that. Prelude, Angry Young Man. I mean, come on, Angry Young Man. Great song. And Miami 2017. Amazing song. Legendary song. Great album. This next one may surprise some of you that it's kind of up so high, but I have a lot of fond memories of this album. So back in the 70s when my parents were pretty big into Billy Joel. I remember one year for Christmas, I was kind of thinking what to get mom and dad for Christmas, right? So I was like, we listened to a lot of music at the house. I said, you know what? They listened to a lot of Billy Joel over the last couple of years. I said, I'm going to go out and see if I can get them a Billy Joel album that they don't have, right? Because, of course, they had, 52nd Street and The Stranger and Piano Man and Turnstiles. And it turns out they didn't have Streetlife Serenade. So I remember buying this for them, and they're like, oh, cool, another Billy Joel album. And they listened to like once or twice and never listened to it again. Because, of course, this was a little more rockin' Billy. This was, not littered with all the hits, although there are hits on here. And I was always like, oh, I guess they didn't really like that album too much. But I would listen to it. And I've always had an affinity for this album and some really great songs on here. I love Streetlife Serenade. Love that song, title track. Great. Los Angelinos. Dun, 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 dun. Los Angelinos. What a great hard rocking song. I totally love that song. There's the Great Suburban Showdown, of course, the Root Beer Rag, and then my beloved Roberta. It's tough for me. Oh, it's tough for you. Love Roberta. I am the entertainer. I mean, come on. So many great songs on here. Last of the Big Time Spenders. Oh, Souvenir, Weekend Song, The Mexican Connection. It's a great album. This is like, for me, the most underrated gem of the Billy Joel catalog that most people never talk about. Really, really great. All right, got to go. The top two, kind of hard to choose between because they're both astronomically amazing. But one I think slightly edges it, so I'm going to go number 2 with 52nd Street. You had to be a big shot, did ya? Honesty. Love Honesty. My Life. Another kind of, folk hero song for us New Yorkers. Zanzibar. That is my favorite song on this album. I absolutely adore Zanzibar. Stiletto, Rosalinda's Eyes. I mean, just half a mile away until the night. And, of course, the title track, 52nd Street. Man, God, Zanzibar. Love it. Love it. It's again, for those of you who are maybe not from the United States or maybe not New Yorkers, you may be wondering why I'm kind of blathering on and on about this guy and his music. But I tell you, Billy Joel means so much to New Yorkers. That's just the way it is, right? You just can't get away from it. And, number one's got to be The Stranger from 1977, 52nd Street from 78. I mean, those two amazing albums in a row. And, here it's, Moving Out, Anthony's song. Come out, come on. I mean, come on. Just great stuff. The Stranger with that great whistle, great song. Just the Way You Are. Scenes from an Italian Restaurant. Just amazing. Vienna waits for you. Only the Good Die Young. She's Always a Woman. Get It Right the First Time and Everybody Has a Dream. I mean, just top to bottom. Just perfection, right? These albums are just perfect stuff. So there you have it. My ranking of the Billy Joel catalog. All great albums. There's greatness on all of them. So like I said at the beginning, it sucks that some have to be at the bottom, but it's just the way it is because the ones at the top, there ain't no moving those out of the way, I'll tell you, especially if you're, near about my age and you're from the New York area. It just doesn't get any better than The Stranger and 52nd Street and a lot of these other ones. So number 1, The Stranger. Number 2, 52nd Street. Number 3, Streetlife Serenade. Number 4, Turnstiles. Number 5, Piano Man. I always lose count. Number 6, Glass Houses. Number 7, An Innocent Man. Number 8, The Nylon Curtain. Number 9, Cold Spring Harbor. Number 10, Stormfront. Number 11, The Bridge. Number 12, River of Dreams. All right. Some of you may be asking, but didn't he do some other album late in his career, like some kind of classical thing? Yes, it's called Fantasies and Delusions. I believe that's all instrumental, just all piano, classical type stuff. Never heard it, don't have it, so I decided not to include it here. But that's my ranking of the Billy Joel albums. You are free to do a ranking of your own. In fact, I would highly encourage everybody, because I know we have a lot of fans on here, do your top 5 albums, your top 10, rank the whole catalog. it's kind of fun to rank the whole catalog because it's all so good. And it really makes you think, right? It really makes you kind of assess the songs you really love on these. So anyway, visit us on the web at www.seatranquility.org. We're on Facebook, we're on Twitter, of course, we're here on the mighty YouTube all the damn time. We got all sorts of power metal stuff coming up this weekend for you metalheads. What else? Make sure you visit the website, right? So check all of our recent reviews there. At some point, once I can digest it a little more, I'm going to give a review of this bad boy, the new Richie Kotzen 50 song, brand new, celebrating his 50th birthday set. What else? Don't forget, if you're interested in donating to the channel, we greatly appreciate if you show some love. Go over to our Ko-Fi page, right? I'll have the link in the description below. So if you want to give a couple bucks monthly just to help us out here on the channel, that would be greatly appreciated. And make sure you let those ads run, okay? You know, we know what a troubling time we're having right now, okay, with the economy and coronavirus and the state of a lot of people's jobs and things like that. So little things like letting a 15 or 30 second ad run before a video of mine that you watch, or letting that banner ad at the bottom, let it stay there for the duration of the video, would help me out greatly. All right, guys. So thanks again. I appreciate it. Love you all. And we'll see you over the weekend. All right. Take care. Bye-bye.